Hello there and welcome to a semifinal match in the consolation bracket of the Dominion Online Championship this year. This is between GrassWonder and Will Wang, who fought through quite a number of strong opponents to reach this stage. On the other side of the bracket, Negative already advanced to the finals over El Taco, who takes a 3rd/4th place finish. So they also did quite well. The final will have a prize of 6-month subscription to the Dominion.Games, whatever the full expansions. (5-2) looks fine just because Ratcatcher's reasonable to open anyway. Even the 4-3 probably a little better. You have Island Folk, which is extremely powerful, and Emissary is a little hard to activate. The Scrying Pool can do it. Nothing else does it very easily. And we don't have villages here, so I mean, other than just a raw unclean shuffle, play Emissary. But the only way you can do it from a clean shuffle is to play the Scrying Pool into it. I think with villages there would be, you could use the gainers to do it, but that's not in the cards here. Capitalism would help animal fare, though I don't know that we're gonna get the piles emptied such that the animal fare buy comes online, and then it's quite good. But purely animal fare capitalism is like a big money kind of thing. I'm not sure how good that is. But overall, the kingdom's missing a few little components to make it explode, but it has a lot of draw and trashing. And it would have decent gaining if there was a village. But it's hard to say. If you add the village, what do you remove? So then it's just a different kingdom. So far they've just getting a little bit of trashing, a little bit of money. I may mute myself periodically. I'm just finishing dinner a little bit here, so. But hopefully I'm not too much. Just a few bites left. People have emissaries, which is, reasonable. Capitalism is great. It's kind of hard to imagine, or I'm having a hard time imagining that you can support several of them in this deck. I guess if you just sort of play, you could play big money emissary, I suppose, and you'd get, through the course of the game, you'd probably get a couple Island Folk turns. depending on how lucky you were with your emissaries and your reshuffle triggering, but that's not actually crazy just because of what the engine offers, but the engine would be really good if you could get, if there was a way to empty a pile easily, then you could get the animal fair stuff going, and then Triumph would be enough Alt VP to probably bring you back no matter how far behind you were on provinces. They would have to empty the provinces first. But emptying a pile is just, I don't know how you do it in any sort of reasonable time. So I'm kind of curious. It looks like Will Wang is headed for that. Well, no, they have Scrying Pool as well. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. You can mix things a little bit here. Nothing's very good, so if you throw in a few Scrying Pools and they'll get you some emissary activations, get you some extra turns, that's still pretty appealing. I don't know. It seems a little mixed to me, but if the decks are bad enough anyway, it's not necessarily a huge deal to be a little scattered. That seemed a little weird to me. I would have thought you know, go ahead and trash the estate, but trash your money and whatever, but there's so many terminals in this deck. This is an interesting point where, like, if you played another scrum, this is still like, what is this deck? You just go ahead and expand a province by pool. Yeah, this is where the mixture of, this is where if this expand was a gold, this potion was a silver, or what, I don't know how much they had when they bought it, but suddenly this turn looks quite a bit better if you're just like playing cards and buying a province. As opposed to this kind of just draw ahead, do nothing nonsense. Buy Scrying Pool, and then next turn. It's hard to draw through the deck in a way that gets the emissary activation even. Maybe if you're doing a lot of researching, but so far not a fan. But I can understand why it's kind of hard to find a path here. I was like, what are these turn? Like, it's just too many. There's like a million terminals in these decks. The other problem is you can't really easily. It's not technically impossible, but you can't easily get 2 emissary activations on a turn. Which means you're still not even like getting to the point of taking the island folk turn every turn, which is where that would start to really pay dividends, just in terms of, oh, I get 2 turns now. So I don't know what any of this is. It's not impressive to me. Yeah, okay, so now you have a hand of animal fair moneylender. Like, what? I mean, I guess you're just gonna buy capitalism and go that direction, but this hand doesn't get to emissary activation. The next one will. So what is the end goal? What is the dream for these decks? You don't have to play into your opponent being able to ever really do triumph either. You can just buy provinces. So I do like the province there. I would have, if I would like Will Wang's situation a lot better if the potion, and like if so many of those cards were silvers or golds, I think the deck would be in a pretty nice spot. See, like, so now, oh, okay, so I have a turn, I can play the moneylender in the buy phase, wahoo. It's still just nothing. Still just mostly nothing. You don't get around here. This doesn't come around to double emissary activation. You're still not getting any amount of you're not island folking. You don't really have a, you could just expand the emissary by emissary, or you could expand the emissary by pool. Seems fine. The emissaries at the top of these kinds of shuffles are super awful because you have a million action cards. Pretty likely you just draw garbage. This deck is so incredibly thin. It really doesn't promise unless it hits like Moneylender and Copper, which there aren't very many left, or 2 animal fairs in hand. And then this other deck is like relying on either getting some kind of it's just all incoherent. I don't know here if you just trash the moneylender for an animal fair or what. You're Will Wang, especially if your hand is going to buy a province here, expanding emissary into province looks really nice. But we'll see. Even milling probably looks pretty nice. If you buy province and mill, the comebacks start getting closed out pretty heavily. But you should be pretty aggressive with the expands, I guess, is the main point. What are you buying as GrassWonder? I don't know. That seems terrible. None of this makes any sense. You should be a little careful here as Will Wang to think about whether you're going to enable your opponent to activate an emissary if you discard cards. And also consider that your opponent has about 1 billion terminals anyway. So like that was pretty bad. If you discard again, it would be pretty bad. 1 was not crazy. But doing 2 would be pretty awful because it would open up the opponent to be able to activate the emissary. So anyway, maybe here you don't go province. Yeah, you just lose the potion to like gold or something. A little unfortunate. I think the last card maybe is an emissary for Will Wang. I'm not sure. I could be making that up. But it was pretty unfortunate to bottom deck that. And then you draw them together. Yeah, this is ugly. You do get to like expand emissary. That's so crazy. I don't think that's right at all. I think you expand emissary and then just play the... You for sure, if you're Will Wang, just expand emissary into province. And then you're going to have your pools again, but... Yeah, it's just... I can only repeat myself about the deck compositions, but they're not good. But Will Wang will have a pretty decent shot at provincing this turn, regardless. Though, of course, doing it is not at all safe, so... In fact, it's super unsafe this time. Unless you can get to double somehow, but... You can toss it there. Oh, they both have capitalism now. If you go for it, you just lose immediately. The Island Folk activation is going to be hard to do at this point, but would be kind of nice. You just take a duchy. You don't have to dance. You still have an expand, and you have a little better non-terminal. You have better non-terminal draw to give yourself a shot at double province. Double province for GrassWonder is a little harder. The discard 1 off the pool is really huge because then it means the emissaries can't activate the next turn. Yeah. So this is... I can toss that. But it's still the same. We're still in kind of the same problem. You'll get it... And no, this is the only emissary in deck now, right? The one got expanded away. 2 in trash. These are the 2. These are all 5. These 2, those 2, and that one. So you're not going to get an emissary activation next turn. In fact, you're not getting anything. This would be, you know, GrassWonder can't see the hand, but this would be the hand to move on the try to break PPR and go for it because you have the expand emissary in a province line, and you can like buy a. You could trash the other emissary into a animal fair and. But playing it safe. Everybody's playing it safe, which is reasonable. Will Wang does I mean, it's really unlikely, but that does have outs to get a Island Folk turn. The Duchy dancing is funny because if it does go, then the suddenly Triumph is going to look a little better for people with the animal fairs. Not a million times better or anything, but This again would be like a pretty safe time for Will Wang, but only because I can see the hand. But this would be a good shot at breaking PPR. This will get an emissary activation though, this next hand, I think. Well, if emissary's bottom deck, then maybe not, but. And that'll get you an island folk turn, which maybe you feel bold enough to make a move at that point, but you also just may not have anything hardly else to do. I don't know why you trash Moneylender there yet, but whatever. Animal Fair is up. You're gonna probably draw the expand in the next turn. You gotta take province now, take your island folk turn. You have a lot of outs, and you're not gonna get like a better chance, I don't think. And your opponent has a win with Duchy to province. You don't know that, but still, there are things to do. So you just take the province, use your island folk turn. If you can get the pools to draw the expand, or if the expand's just in hand, you probably can mill something into province, a duchy or whatever. There are dud hands in here, but you have 2 pools in the expand in your bottom 7, so you're not going to get a better shot than this. If you see the pools, it's just guaranteed, or if you see a pool, it's just guaranteed. And you would have needed a bottom deck, like it was probably actually just strictly guaranteed because there were only 7 cards, right? So you could only bottom deck 2 pools or something. Yeah. That shouldn't be a 19 turn game. It's not that weak of a kingdom. There are no attacks either, so, or not any significant attacks. All right, so game 1 went to Will Wang. You can go for your Guardian into Vampire if you want. Remake is always pretty nice with Way of the Mole stuff. Grotto potentially as well. Otherwise, again, you're not payload-wise. Not again, I guess. This time there's lots of villages and draw and trashing, but the payload is pretty underwhelming. And there's not plus buy. Star Chart Remake is probably fine. Definitely something to be said for quite a few of the other ones. There's a lot of good opening angles here, and I wouldn't know how to kind of tease out which one's the best. I don't think they involve silver, even though Border Village is pretty good. I would be pretty shocked if silver is in the list of things you want to open with here. Ironmonger's silver, it's interesting. It's definitely a like Border Village Vampire Lab angle. You can remake stuff into border villages and then get it back, but all that nets you is border villages, which you can't like do anything with. There's no like expand or remodel for the border villages themselves, so it's a little stupid. Night Watchman I hate. Well, no, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't hate it here. This is pretty accelerated trashing if you do that. So the next, I don't know why there's like a time wait on the next play, which is automatic trash copper. You're not going to trash the Night Watchman, I don't think. It's an interesting little trick though, if you get to a point where you have a hand where you don't want to trash a copper, going 2 to 9. Well, now it probably won't ever come up because you have the, unless you just do it immediately. Unless you just don't trash one of the estates here. Going estate to Night Watchman to 4 is cute, but probably not the play. You could probably get an engineer at some point. I don't know about silver. I'm trying to think what the line is. You really want to have threat on like duchy gaining while just basically just having a ton of draw and working towards the just being able to afford like one province but just have a lot of draw. And then be able to do some duchy gain in either via vampires or remakes. Which probably requires like engineer. But GrassWonder are gonna be way ahead on trashing. Wasn't the greatest Guardian timing because this hand was coming up and it's not like you're gonna buy anything. There was a chance your opponent, well, not really, it was their turn 4, so there wasn't really even a good chance your opponent was gonna play the vampire that turn, so was it maybe the best Guardian ever? Maybe just second Grotto would have been nicer. I guess unless you want to save back one of your Grotto discards here and get a second Guardian, then it's okay. And maybe that's the play. The Knights don't play very well with the mole stuff, which nobody's doing mole stuff, so I guess that doesn't matter, but there is potentially some mole stuff. Diluted probably is not going to hurt too much. That's not true. I forgot the Grotto draw was coming in. So diluted is going to hurt. Because you would really like to buy a border village, I think, but it's okay. You can buy a vampire. I played an IRL game of Dominion yesterday. It was base set plus just like 2 cards from Cornucopia Guilds. Base set 2E, but Corn Guilds 1E. We had tournament, it was great. It's 4-player even. But Laboratory was a key card. Laboratory is a good card. And it's beautiful in its simplicity. Going hard on the Ironmonger gains there. Keep that 1 copper secret. Keep it safe. And I kind of thought about this line. I'm not totally sure it's better than just trashing coppers at that point, but it's an okay line. It's certainly like reasonable. I guess this is going to be Border Village Lab. Oh wait, well, it might be Border Village Vampire. The earlier trashing on this kingdom should be good. There should be enough good stuff to do that you steamroll with the earlier trashing. But I don't know if we're finding that path so far. Like, this is nice. I mean, your opponent's turn is not really very different from a remake turn, maybe even a little worse with the bat play, and it's happening on turn their turn 7, so as opposed to 3. Remake is like a bat you can open with. Because with the mole, which is a little greedy, because what are you even trying to get to here? I guess the vampire? Well, if you're trying to get to the vampire, you can guarantee it with another mole. And I guess you grotto silver and play the vampire. This, I can kind of see this. It's not super stupid anyway. Even though it's... I don't know. I would have been thinking about just playing the remake. But if you get to this point, like, how many things... It's got to be play grotto, play vampire. Locust vampire hit, that's brutal, as we say. Does pick up an engineer, which I kind of thought about, but it does feel a little early, a little greedy. It can work out though. You get the Night Watchman as compensation, which is not good. not particularly good. I think the problem with the engineer at this point is you're not immediately like remaking the stuff you gain with it to get labs. You will eventually be able to do that, but you're not doing it right away, and so in the meantime it's a little gross. And the debt, for instance, is preventing you from buying a laboratory here, so well, not exactly, but you probably would have grottoed the silver, so the hand would have been a bit bigger. They just trash everything. It's just slower. There's just too many ideas, I think, for GrassWonder, and then just basically not enough trashing or grottoing for Will Wang. Otherwise, I would favor GrassWonder here, but again, I think a few too many ideas going on here. Feels a bit all over the place. Would rather see just like a focus on playing Remake a bunch if you're going to go that angle, or a focus on playing Vampire a bunch if you want to go that angle. And then at some point, if you have deck control, you can branch out, but so it's just a weird time to be. This is not to say this wasn't an okay buy, but it's like so late to be taking Remake. This is pretty interesting, Mole. I wasn't actually considering that. I bet it mostly just because I forgot about Mole, not because I think it's not a good idea. Should play the Ironmonger. Get to a province buy, even if you don't play the Remake, which is fine, or not a province buy. It gets you a couple labs. Probably gets you, I don't know, is there just one card? Is there more cards? If there's just a copper in the discard, then you're just gonna get, you can double lab, or you could remake stuff and buy like Grotto or Guardian and gain lab, but there's no reason not to draw it. No. Vampire's also a little hard to keep in fuel here with the bat, for the bat. Well, that would really, to me, point to not trashing the copper, because you want to be able to hit it with bat next turn. You also really need like a... I don't know what the hold copper's for. You also really want Ironmonger to hit Village next time, so you can play Engineer and Remake. I guess you've got more coppers on the Grotto, but still. It's, second vampire bite is crazy to me. Because what are you feeding these guys? These bats. I guess it's a lady vampire. What are you feeding the old vampires? You know, you have like 3 hoppers. Maybe you can kill Guardian, but it's very weird. This has been so slow, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. They really want to trash the coppers versus gain something. I would have thought, you know, like a 3 is probably better than just a nil trash. Whatever the 3 is. BRB, oh no. It's bad news. You're coming along at a good clip, but now it's slowed down a bit. Am I muted on? Just doesn't light up. Test. Okay, I think it's okay on Discord. This is a big hand. What's happening? Sorry, I stopped paying attention. Did some stuff. Gets Bat Laboratory, doing some stuff. What do we have? There's a lot of night cards, and it's too many. It's too many night cards. Why is there so much night? What's the deal with all these night cards? Am I right? I don't know what I'm saying. Envious. Lab. I like lab. It's like seeing gain lab. I like that. I do like this engineer. Okay, this is more exciting to me, this engineer angle now that we've reached this point. What are we doing though? Only enough actions to do one of these things. All right, I wasn't paying attention. I was playing Daily Dominion because I forgot to play today. It was a good kingdom today. It's a little highway grotto vampire thing. Much more explosive than this deck with vampire. Bobble Grotto. It's like Bobble Grotto Vampire Highway was basically the whole deck. It was cute. There's also Stonemason could get in there, but other than that, that was the kingdom. This is rough. You don't have any money, just a lot of draw. It's a huge amount of draw, no money. Or gains, really, either. A little bit of gains, but. Pretty funny that they've only managed to do the two border villages. Just the way the money worked out. I don't even know that it was a mistake of play or anything. It's just a bit odd. You would think most of the time when border village and there's a spammable 5, there's enough $6 hands that you see those buy even if the border village doesn't actually matter. I don't know there's a 3 pile anywhere. GrassWonder has some engineers, but or an engineer. Ironmonger's labs can run, but otherwise, you just get in your spot in a spot where you're buying a province the next turn. If you're GrassWonder and you just are grottoing and drawing a bunch of stuff with lab and Ironmonger, you'll win. I don't know if GrassWonder is in a position to do that. There haven't been a whole lot of silvers gained, but maybe. We're living with all these bats. Whatever they do, who knows? Each player only has a grotto. No one has the double grotto yet. Here we get the double grotto probably. Copper, that copper gain is almost certainly friendly. The labs are gone. There may be some better things to do with the Ironmongers than just autoplay them. You don't need the actions, and so you might want the coin, and you could maybe wait. If you're going to have all these labs unplayed right now, that's a little weird. You could probably have waited on the Ironmongers and giving yourself a shot at actually getting some bonuses, or a better shot at getting bonus of a time or two. They hit one here anyway, so it's not a huge deal, but I don't know why there's so many guardians. It should probably be possible to province here. I mean, it's definitely possible. I think you probably want to do it. One way or the other. Got 2, 4, 6. There's just like a couple silvers. There's a copper in there, so you obviously are interested in playing the bats as well. Or at least one of the bats anyway. Maybe not both. This game also feels like, I mean, here they're at least getting vampires, and at least some of the vampire hits have been pretty impactful. But I don't think it should be quite this long of a game as it's very likely to be. Nobody got a decisive lab split. Nobody's gonna do mole trickery. It's not really any good anyway, but I guess if you're a GrassWonder, you could think about, I hesitate to call it this, but a duchy rush. Oasis I don't particularly care for. It's okay. What do you do? Like remake copper and guardian and draw, and then just play one bat. By province. That's what I would do. Play Guardian. You could replace Guardian or whatever the next time with Engineer. Just think provinces are pretty good. This match may take a long time. Well, I don't like this. I don't like any of this, actually. I don't even know why you care. It's not like the Ironmonger split was important. Yeah, like you really got to get it this turn. That was weird. I don't like that. I did like they got $8. That part I liked. I think there was a better path. A path that left you still have 2 bats, but... This is like a draw payload issue here this turn, because this is way overdrawn and nothing to do, not much to do with it. If you have 2 labs here and you don't have anything you're getting from them. In fact, you might even grotto them, which is awful. There's a problem. There's some problems. IMO. Like if you're trashing 1 copper, you didn't trash 2 coppers. So why didn't you set 2 coppers and not 2 laboratories aside? Like that's crazy. It's just actually crazy. And they should be playing labs earlier than Ironmongers. In general, the advantage is going to be playing the labs. Anyway, a couple of ironmongers got money anyway, but there's, I guess, a couple. I mean, maybe split. There's some advantage to having played ironmongers earlier. Or at least one. To get one treasure in the discard is pretty useful. I would probably engineer for Guardian here. And then next turn you really want to engineer for Grotto. There's no reason to like risk something bad, a bad hex. You have loose resources here. I guess you can engineer for something else and vampire for the Guardian also, it's fine. It's weird not to have played the Oasis before this. Unless you think you're remaking it, but why? I don't get it. You should play the Oasis first. It lets you Grotto and copper. It's small. It probably won't matter, but it makes it easier to Grotto stuff. And then your Oasis isn't in the discard, which is not good anyway. I'm mad again. Why wouldn't you just play it earlier? So you get Vampire for Grotto, you get Engineer, or vice versa, whatever. Get Guardian Grotto, because I think you don't want to risk having to draw around and gain and play Grotto next turn. You really want one in the deck. So I would do that way. I would gain Grotto Guardian here with the gainers by province. What do they get? Duchy I hate. Engineer Remake I hate these gains so much. I don't know why risk a Vampire hit on the next turn. It makes no sense to me. You don't really have, I mean, I just don't think you have to worry about the Duchy angle. You're ahead. And so you could already, you were going to have turns later on where you're going to be able to start angling for Duchies just fine. You didn't have to do it this turn. Now you're risking, it's still possible to get through and draw a Grotto that you gain with Engineer. And you really need to prioritize doing that. But you make it a little harder with those gains. And plus the hex, so not a fan at all. You're probably going to be fine just off the back of the lead you do have, but why risk it? I don't get it. I don't like super hate the remodel or the Dutchy gain, but remake gain I don't like. It's not even easy to really have the remake Dutchy angle work at this or matter at this point. At this like next turn, I should say. Not in the game in general, but and the coin from Guardian is pretty okay just because of the grotto space and like the grotto space and bat plays. It's pretty good for that, so these stupid ironmongers. So you really want to put a grotto in this? You can get a guaranteed coin hit now on the Ironmonger with Star Chart. That's pretty okay. But boy, do you really want to play grotto. Empire. But you should get to it fine. You don't have to star chart the grotto. You can just star chart silver and get a silver hit and then get a peddler hit and then keep drawing. And you'll get around to the grotto with the discards from Monger at the very worst. The very least. You're still drawing a million cards. With Lab and Border Village. It's very, you could click this stuff a little quicker. Didn't do it. That's not, I don't like it. You can still get it. I mean, it's not like you have enough draw to get around, but please, I'm begging you, GrassWonder, get a grotto. I don't know why they put province on top. That's got to be one of the, I mean, bat's obviously worse, but I don't think you need draw, you need coin. So pretty lucky that this silver is a hit here. This is just all a little bit sloppy. But he'll be fine. It's all still fine. Just I'm begging you. No, what? If you're not winning, this remake angle is so... Just why would you not... Okay, if you're winning, it's fine. If you're winning, you know, that's fine. So perfect, wonderful, awesome. I love it. Nice. Excellent. I wasn't looking for the pile. That was good. Okay. I hate how this is displayed in this. Like, there's no, this space use is whatever. Okay. Yeah, there's Anvil is pretty good just because of the lack of gains here. Kingdoms have been kind of interesting in the sense of having some constraints. Again, plus buy is not here. That's not true. I lied. But a little bit of a different plus buy in the loot's wealthy village angle, but totally doable. So anyway, Anvil silver copper is pretty good path on the wealthy village, and then hope you hit a nice loot and go from there. But the fours are excellent. Royal Galley, Herald, even Menagerie could see some play. I think you probably go Anvil, T-Mog. And maybe keep hitting the T-Mogs, like your first Anvil play, maybe gain a T-Mog. This is, you'd rather have a 4 than, this basically changes his hand from like a 4 to a 3 with the Anvil, but it's not the ideal draw there. Because you would kind of like to grab a Menagerie. The T-Mog's nice, you can wait till you have a hand with like Estate and Anvil, and then pop to T-Mog to silver to get the wealthy village. Herald's, that's just way too early. And they're not even, they're fine here, but they're not. It's just way too early for Herald. Almost any of the other 4s would be probably better. I mean, not Gardens, but even Clerk might be better. Clerk has some liabilities with Menagerie. That bad enough that you probably don't ever pick it up. But I still think it might be better than a Herald at that point in time. So we have this the Royal Galleons is so early. I would have been more interested in the second T-Mog for both players here. Because of the Clerk, which as I mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever. Now if you hit Royal Galley, Herald, things look better for your buys, though I think they're still slightly crazy. This gets the wealthy village. GrassWonder calls but won't get the wealthy village here. So looks good for Will. This is pretty, potentially the loot, the wealthy village loot split could be pretty impactful. Okay, but GrassWonder does have it here this turn, so that's pretty nice. And can still gain a 4 with Anvil, which is also quite nice. Probably should be Royal Galley on GrassWonder's turn. This should also probably be Royal Galley. For the gain here. Yeah, they're going Herald. I don't like it. Insignia sucks. This is a bad draw too. You can top deck Swashbuckler though, which helps a lot. Insignia doesn't like ultra suck, but it sucks for your first loot. It sucks pretty bad. I would definitely have taken Royal Galley though on the other. Ooh, no, gross. Use your insignia. I know they're trying to get it in hand with other treasures to get another wealthy village thing, but I would just have topped a swashbuckler. I think it's probably pretty good. Doubloons is maybe probably still worse than insignia, so they got really bad. They both got pretty bad boons. Like if you had top decked a swashbuckler here, you maybe get a really nice turn. But anyway, they didn't go for that. This still may be a nice angle. How many boons can we see? Okay, so sword's not the best. It's all right. Probably not super helpful. I don't think you really wanted to top deck the wealthy village there. There's no upside to top decking it versus you'd really rather have it in the next shuffle if you maybe... I don't know. Do they have a T-Mog? If they have a T-Mog, then what I said is not true. They top decked the wrong thing. This was awful. So Will Wang needs to call the T-Mog. Or they're going to play the Herald anyway. Okay, so it's fine. But you got to call the T-Mog on Wealthy Village for a swashbuckler. Okay, it's fine because of the... I forgot about the galley thing. Herald also hit, which was nice. Well, galley doesn't. If you can take all the heralds and not get behind on consistency or whatever from not taking as many royal galleys, then the heralds are good. But it'll be nice to see if we get any like T-Mog loot action at the end. If we get to that point at all. We may have a 3-pile before we get there, but it'll be cool to see if doubloons comes out and gets turned into Brahmins, so it's always nice to see. Doesn't even go for another loot there. Interesting. I think you call silver to Royal Galley. That seems pretty easy. Just getting the Royal Galley swashbucklers are huge. You still hit a wealthy village. You got to keep trying for plus buy. Wasn't guaranteed, but you had pretty good odds of getting to a third treasure. There's no reason to top deck anything but copper. If you whiff buy again, yeah, this sucks so bad. These loots, this loot situation, Wealthy Village is essentially like an event for the loots. It's just as bad as like, it's not quite as bad just because Wealthy Villages itself, villages are good cards. But it's close to as bad as like looting or the event loot ones, which are, it's just awful with the buy situation. Wealthy Village is like just like a half step below them as far as being awful. It's funny because there are a lot of the loot ones. It's not a huge deal. Like sack of loot, it's like not a deal at all. Whatever the trashing one is, that one it's usually not the treasure that trashes. I can't remember what that thing's called, but that's usually not an issue at all. You get enough of those. Pickaxe. Search, it's usually not a big deal, because you're banking on that with search. You're just already making a huge, awful mistake. Ooh, this should have been deck knowledge. I guess you don't have to play the swashbuckler, but should have known you could go menagerie and then royal galley a swashbuckler, which I think you would for sure have done. So that was all a bit messed up. You'd much rather have set aside a swashbuckler than a menagerie. It might work out for you, but you just have to, unfortunately, buy Wealthy Village again. All right, there you go. You get, I say that about the swashbuckler. The menagerie is not terrible because you actually do have pretty good odds of activating it, but so now you have Sextant. That helps a little. We're gonna get oh no, there's nothing in the it's a bit hard to get coffers off this swashbuckler too. What do we get? Gosh, they've bought 6 loots and they've gotten only 2+ buy out of it. It's been really bad. Hammer better than the other ones though. So both doubloons, insignia, hammer have come out. Hammer is at least a little better just because the 4s are so super good here. You have to just kind of already go ahead and do the Royal Galley Wealthy Village thing. I mean, I guess unless you like know your last card is Swashbuckler or whatever. I guess in any case you could still play the Royal Galley immediately. Yeah, it's probably better to toss the anvil. I was kind of thinking about that. I'm not sure, but it's probably better to toss the anvil. Maybe you're willing to push the provinces here a little bit. Nobody's picked up the buys to have so much threat for gardens or anything. Nobody's like got so much good draw or anvil stuff going that's a threat. And with the T-Mog, there is some incentive to be the person who's ahead on the VP. There's more incentive to be first mover on province because of T-Mog. But those are a couple of very nice loots, so it's hard to criticize that outcome. So you should technically play you should play the Royal Galley Wealthy Village first probably, and then Royal Galley Herald to get the Herald search space, but if you're trying to find another swashbuckler, which I don't even know what Will Wang is looking for there, if there is a swashbuckler. In any case, so we're gonna see the last couple wealthy villages come down here. I don't think there's a pile out or anything. Goes T-Mog Wealthy Village. That's interesting. Saves the coffer for whatever reason. You can get 2 swashbuckler activations here, but it's just not worth not Royal Galley both of them. It's just not worth it. I don't believe. I don't know what the bottom 6 cards are. It's not like crazy to want the coffers, but and give yourself a shot at the treasure chest. But I don't think it's worth the consistency hit. The T-Mod call is not the best thing ever. The Menagerie isn't huge. It's a good hit here, though. Hard to complain about that. Loving these Royal Galleys. You may want to hold off on whatever, you just play them. You've got at least one that's hanging out, so didn't find the hammer or the anvil. That was a bit of a bummer. You would have loved to use those to pick up a Royal Galley instead of using some plus buy or something, but it was a bit unfortunate. The decks are still not clean at all, and they never really will be. They couldn't be. I mean, there wasn't a way to do it, to clean them up, clean the coppers up. The GrassWonders will get a little better because of Prize Goat and partly because of Puzzle Box, but you should like, what should you get here? I would have been inclined towards setting aside Estate and just trashing Copper there. As long as you're just setting aside cards repeatedly, you're not getting, though they just didn't set aside anything. I don't really like that, but because I think you want a Royal Galley anyway. Well, if you're doing this, I can see it. A Royal Galley, you need another Swashbuckler. You don't have enough draw. Double Province I hate. Like a lot. It's really important here, I think, to get another Swashbuckler in the deck there so that you can Royal Galley it. So I really don't like that. It makes me very mad. This is such fancy play. It's not going to help you. It's just not going to help you. I understand that it's cute, but it's not, it's just no way to make it like be good. It's just not. So nobody even has the T-Mogs down. See, this is one now. GrassWonder probably can double again, and it's fine. But is basically giving up any semblance of like trying to have a deck that does things. You know, for the next turn. Not millions of miles away from a 3 pile either. Going for gardens now here is also super insane. Just like doing it as a points play is so crazy. It's gonna be fine. The deck disparity is big enough. But you just don't, you for sure do not need gardens. But whatever. Just what is this angle? It's super funny. I'm sure the gardens are worth a lot. Probably not so far away from, not super far away from 40. I just don't get it. I wish it was going to be punished, but it's not going to be punished, so the deck quality difference is just too high at this point. And I'm complaining about the gardens, but like they're not that awful given the situation of the deck. Biding time is the Haven thing. Okay. There's Pious Market Square, which is kind of a self-trait synergy thing, which is cute. You get to wave the worm here at least a few times for free, probably. So the estates will probably pile out. There is Frigate. And there is like Taskmaster Pilgrim stuff. Frigate messes with biding time. There is no trashing apart from the Pious itself. I wonder if, I'm surprised there's not the quick click of Way of the Worm. It makes you wonder if they're gonna miss it. Since it's not just being smashed immediately. It's not super easy to like right away play Frigate every turn either though, so. Yeah, Frigate messes with biding time. It's gonna mess with the Taskmaster stuff a little bit. I think Poet is pretty good. Poet, maybe Market Square Trash OE opening is pretty good. You might draw something, but whatever. You have to believe that probably the estates and market squares get bought out, and you can pretty easily see another of the little piles going, or particularly one of the 5, like the Pilgrims. I think the window where you're gonna want to use like Necropolis as a Necropolis is probably late enough that the estates do get zapped up. But we shall see. So like, do you just take the gold? It's not even like the gold is all that good, but especially if biding time gets activated before frigates are doing anything, then there's a nice line where but if you just dig right into the frigates immediately, then that's not so much a thing. Gonna be tough to make stuff happen. You can play a lot of taskmasters and frigates. That could be played as payload. Is okay. Oof. These are nice draws for GrassWonder so far. Like you have to discard a card, and then suddenly your pious buy is not so happy, and you could discard. I don't. The lines here when your hand is attacked are really rough. You can take Taskmaster and hope you are able to buy a frigate when you play it, but there's no guarantee of that. You don't really have that kind of deck quality. You can kind of hope the poet works out for you. And that you get the Taskmaster and buy a 5. That would be your dream, of course. But it's hard. Goes for another poet. I would have been... I think if I'm GrassWonder there, I'm into the Taskmaster. Okay, you do have 5, so you can pick up your own frigate. That's nice. This Taskmaster is for sure not hitting. Taskmasters, even just played out of hand, are kind of nice defense of the... Not defense exactly, but they don't get hosed by the frigate so much. Oh yeah, so you draw a copper, you're fine. Yeah, that's nice. More frigates. Yeah, they're pretty good. No one's gone back into the market squares, so I guess I was just wrong about them. Biding time is up. This time to bide. We are just at one estate remaining. It's gonna go, you know. It will happen. Are they under attack? Whoa. Yeah, no. Not under attack. So this is like a nice turn to get out of. You could maybe trash some stuff here. There's still... You still have a pretty good incentive to trash. Normally you wouldn't with biding time, but here there's still... It's pretty good still. There's some like insane poet pawn thing that technically like gets around frigate and can play a lot of pawns as almost like peddlers, but it takes a lot of components to acquire. Taskmaster Duchy is actually so wild. Taskmaster's not wild. That's not the wild part. But Duchy is so wild. You don't even have a Taskmaster. Like maybe, like you could maybe squint at the hovel trash if you have a Taskmaster down and you're like, this somehow this is the thing that makes sense. But there, like you just have to hold that Duchy forever. I guess you just discard it anyway, you have to draw through that Duchy forever. You don't get to hold it very much because of frigate, but that's so wild. I was really thinking you'd get like multiple market squares on that turn and just remove some. You know, you could trash a hovel and a copper or something, or Taskmaster. I'm always interested in Taskmaster, even when it's a trap. Just starting on the dukes already. It could be. I'm just worried about those. I mean, Duchy Duke can be quite good, but there are windows where it's pretty easy to outscore. Especially there's just a real risk of, if you're doing, I mean, Duchy Duke still has to hold more green than provinces do, and so there's a risk your frigate attacks drop and then your opponent has bigger turns, and I don't know. It's not the worst. In general, the Duchy Duke stuff is not friendly to attacking consistently, but it's not like maybe the frigate's not, maybe messy frigate works well enough. But if your opponent follows you, then I guess you survive no matter what. I'll be right back. All right, what do we have? Went to Duchy. Duchy. Duchies are gone. Anybody missed a frigate play recently? Will Wang did? Or the GrassWonder did there, but okay. It's tough out here. Pawn is okay. You wouldn't have any shot at getting to like double Duke. Probably not impossible, but trash is necro. I think I would have bought a pawn, or maybe just the Taskmaster. It's so weird to be the person who's like losing score lost the duchy split, I guess, and is like keep buying dukes. Like, you just obviously lose that game. I mean, I would have had more Taskmasters. I sort of think you can beat Duchy Duke. You're just super hosed if you're Will Wang, and you buy every time you buy a Duke, you're just doing nothing for yourself. It's such a bad, they're just awful buys. It's just really slow resign. Here you have $1 million, but you don't have. So now you've lost your thing. So if you buy 1 million Dukes down to 2, it's just a slow resign. All right, so GrassWonder is going to take this. Now it's a faster resign. What do we got? Swindler, Familiar, Otter, Cathedral, Black Cat, Bridge Troll. You ought to know. What's growth do when you gain a treasure? Okay, so growth does not matter here. No, you open Cathedral Swindler. You just angle for the old capital city bridge troll big times. You can use whatever. There's two piles of villages, so otter or black cats are just like plenty of draw. I mean, you're not gonna necessarily pick up black cats except when they're the free loose buy, but and then when you're done, do your big turn and win. I don't think familiar offers enough, even though there's a potion, there's apothecary too. I don't think there's enough incentive there. I think Cathedral is gonna handle that just fine, and you're sacrificing a lot of tempo towards the bridge drill thing by not just opening Cathedral Swindler, I think. Swindler hits might be brutal here because we're going to lose a lot of the junk quickly. There's going to be like a window, and then it may not be a huge deal, like if you lose a rustic village or something, but goes for silver. That's wimpy. We also have Ghost. Ghost can be good here. Probably quite good here, and not too hard to get one at some point. There's going to be a little bit of a, like, likely your first Ghost opportunity, you have to choose between like Ghost or a 5, and that's not super clear. So goes for silver. Why is everybody, I don't know why I don't think you're gonna be terminally strapped that you wouldn't just take the Swindler. And also there are some advantages to like Capital City and just otter optionality and things like that. And it attacks. The attack in this window is not super strong, but even hitting Haunted Mirror is nice. And Copper to Curse is not super important, but Haunted Mirror to Curse could be. And other than that, you're not playing other terminals right now. I mean, I get that you're scared of collision with the bridge troll you don't yet own, but you shouldn't be too afraid of that. I think this is probably rustic. Yeah. So GrassWonder did get this Swindler on turn 3. But this is a nice I think you cycle this one. If you don't find silver, they didn't cycle it. I don't think the 4-buy here is all that important. So I would have cycled. And if you find silver, you break even. If you don't find silver, you can still afford bridge troll the next turn. Rustic Village is good though, so I'm not sure. I could be convinced that what Will Wang did was better. So the bridge trolls is enough here to mitigate the. You do have this. Do I want Ghost Black Cat basically this turn, or either Ghost Black Cat or Ghost Swindler instead of another bridge troll. Amulet is probably the worst of the 3, but even Amulet is fine. It's not bad. Anything that could just be a moat here is going to be, or not a moat, but well, yeah, moat. you know what part of mode I mean, is still pretty good because you're going to eventually just have plenty of villages, I think. This is a little tougher because you really do super want to play Bridge Troll, and to guarantee it, you have to cantrip one. Well, you didn't have to cantrip one. There were 2 Bridge Trolls down here. You could guarantee playing 2 Bridge Trolls. So you should otter this one, right? Yep. Love it. Excellent. This again is like a hand where it kind of looks like maybe this is a nice ghost point, but it's really not clear that it's better than moving through here. And if you discard, if you cycle, you guarantee, like you could have bottom decked the rustic there, which wouldn't have let you double Bridge Troll. Now if you had cycled, you would have guaranteed it. But you would have, of course, also took the hit to econ. Think you just get the 4th Bridge Troll, right? I mean, you've still got the stuff for it. It's not any worse terminal-wise than this last hand was. Maybe you don't want to play that, but if you hit the double the next turn, then you're in. You really have to. It's funny. The money is quite bad. That you really are trying to get to that 5 Bridge Troll in play. I mean, at least 4 in play, so that you can just soak up the villages and the actions that give you the otters. I mean, you could maybe make an argument for a couple villages and some of the couple swindlers. I don't hate this. I'm not sure it's how I would play it, but I don't hate it. I don't like that. It is a nice angle for Ghost, though I think I still would have taken a Swindler over Silver. You just added 2 more villages. You're gonna have plenty of. I don't like the Silver. I think you're more likely to be able to play the Swindler with, like, you know, multiple Bridge Trolls down and turn a Black Cat into a curse or something like that. And I don't think you're really action strapped, and the optionality with Otter is so nice. So didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I'm not mad about it. I think you toss Bridge Troll here because you only have 1. I guess you're not guaranteed. Well, okay, you can do it that way too. That's fine. It's a little safer. You have a bunch of rustic villages down here, so it's not a huge deal regardless. Or at least you have 1 more. You can not mole, but otter this amulet and get around everything. And you get to play your Ghost on something, which is cool. Ghost Bridge Troll, you might whine about it, but it would be fine. It actually would be good. Just, even though the Ghost stays out for multiple turns, it would just be so nice for the next turn that I can't imagine it's not just super good. I'm afraid they're going to gain Silver, yeah. It's a growth angle, I suppose, but it costs you just buying a village here, and so I don't like it very much. Because now you really did kind of muck the village composition up a little bit here. This is not the time to buy a Bridge Troll either. You have 2 coming out the next turn. Well, you could buy it if you were getting a rustic village with it, but Oh, I don't like these gains. They seem really greedy and not, or maybe greedy is not the word. I just don't like them that much, but they're all right. Cause yeah, you don't even get to play. I mean, you're gonna otter them just to get around to the. You're gonna otter this bridge troll just to get around to your rustic villages, I guess. Things could be better. Things could be worse too, though. And then at that stage, you probably just go ahead and otter both the bridge troll twice, just so the ghost doesn't get stuck out with a single bridge troll play, which doesn't seem worth it. It might still be just to get 3 down, but or 4 down. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. I think the black cat count is like way higher than it probably should be. Oh no, why are they doing it this way? No, use it as otter. I don't think this is right. I mean, I kind of understand it, but I don't think it's correct. It also gives you better cathedral choices. I mean, I don't hate this. I don't know. You'd have to count some stuff to really figure it out. But you're not getting any money. And you could already play 3 bridge trolls. This gets you to 4 bridge trolls this turn. Not a fan. Well, the rustic villages are nice. Problem is the piles are super low too. What got ghosted? Black cat. That's not too scary. Going hard on the rustic villages, perhaps a bit greedy, but I wonder if we'll get a chance to see the oh, it's only when they gain a victory, or if it isn't your turn. So you can't give them a curse with or a green card with Swindler and then give them an estate with Swindler and then play all your black cats. That would be cool though. Just for the record. That would be super cool. You can get the draw though, which is kind of nice. The draw angle could actually be a thing, but you don't give the curses out, so. I mean, I don't think Shad is listening, but I'm not so sure it was a good idea. I don't think it's. I mean, it would be way better to give them a curse than an estate at that point. They're pretty lucky they're not eating any curses there. Only 6 buys. No ghosting. Oh, GrassWonder just doesn't even have anything in hand. Unless Will Wayne greens at all. And didn't even play any bridge trolls last turn or anything. So Will Wang may be tempted to take like a green to make up this gap, but really shouldn't. Because you know your opponent has no threat on like ending the game. So you just take your time until you're buying as many duchies or cemeteries as you need to win. There's still a stack of capital cities for consistency. You don't have to risk a thing here. But you can play the Swindler. Give him a curse or something. Trash the estate. I don't know. That's funny. This is like just buy a bunch of capital cities, buy some bridge trolls. I don't think that matters. I mean, I don't know that the hit was going to matter a whole lot either way. But hitting province doesn't hurt you at all, really. Obviously, it's not what you want to hit, but... You just have so much time if you're Will Wang. If you're not greedy, just think about it a little bit. Get your villages here, get a couple more bridge trolls, and you can go for it the next turn. Or whenever. You might need to get 3 bridge trolls. I guess you have to be a little scared of your opponent. 3 bridge trolls is too many. Yeah, that's not going to work, but... The silver seems awful. Frankly. I don't know. Maybe they're going for a double province, 4 capital city angle, 3 capital city, 1 bridge troll angle. I just hate buying green here. You don't know what your opponent has in hand, but still, you know they have a lot of black cats. So now you're gonna bail them out of the dud. That's just really rough. I think it's wrong. Obviously, I'm working from an advantage of having more information, but it's just triple capital city. I think it's it probably works out fine just because GrassWonder's deck is so much worse, but But like if you dud the next turn, then things get a little dicey. 2 bridge trolls, 2 capital cities. It's a little greedy. It's a little greedy. But you've got a nice hand here, so you'll probably get to react to Black Cat. The good news is your opponent's deck is just kind of not any good. That's always that's always good news, right? Your opponent's deck sucks. Yeah, I think it's pretty safe. Wait, why not give him a curse? Or any of the... Why... Why would you replace it with capitals? Oh, I guess they weren't that cheap. What am I thinking? I looked at a pile and thought it said 0, but I'm insane. Okay, never mind. I would have probably given Bridge Troll though. And just hope your opponent... Oh gosh. Why does GrassWonder have 3? I talked about wanting Swindlers. I don't think I wanted this many Swindlers. Okay. Nicely done there. Nothing for Fortress. This is Sanctuary is pretty important. Eventually, I'm gonna guess that the Coven is relatively important just off points here. If nothing else, and then Swashbuckler Marquee stuff is nice. Sanctuary's going. Silver Sheepdog maybe on the opening. Silver's fine too. I'd take a Sheepdog though over Silver. At some point you can just draw cards, it doesn't matter because of the auxing. I would not have bought a scheme on turn 3. I think that's insane, but it's okay. I'm not like mad about it, but I would never have done it. I like Sanctuary first 5, maybe Coven second 5, maybe double Sanctuary. I don't know what's happening. 3 silvers is too many silvers. For sure. Even though eventually you can get away with them. Will Wang definitely looks ahead here. It's a little hard to do swashbuckler stuff. You can do it with Journeyman, you can do it with Marquee, but not super easily with either one, to be honest. I would buy a sheepdog for sure. Scheme is okay though. C-chart's actually probably C-chart's pretty bad, but Ox and Marquee are super friendly. I don't like Imperial Envoy at all. Would much rather just have one of the other smithies. I like a Marquee here. I don't even know what the Imperial Envoy thought is. I mean, okay, I guess the thought is draw 5 cards. But which isn't a bad thought. You would love to have a treasure chest here. I don't think it's all that easy to make happen. I don't like that. This Fortress C-chart buy is crazy. You don't need to buy a Fortress. You have Ox. But anyway, you can buy Fortress at some point. But if you don't have any terminals, why are you buying Fortress? It's so stupid. It makes me so mad. What is it for? What is the Fortress for? You don't have any terminals. This could just be, even if it was... Second Coven. I'm more interested in draw than a Second Coven, but Second Coven's okay. The curses are annoying here. C-chart is so bad. I hope it hits the second Sanctuary though. What you do is you... Oh, bummer. What you do here is you get a million schemes and a million C-charts. Then you top deck one scheme and the rest C-charts, and boom. That's draw. Why Imperial? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't get it. You know, you can get, you know, there is an actual pretty nice way of activating Swashbuckler here, which is you exile a curse with Sanctuary, and then your opponent brings it back during their turn, and then you get Swashbuckler activation. That's actually pretty nice, and will happen, like, or could easily be made to happen. So that seems like a nice Swashbuckler angle. I super don't get the Imperial Envoy. Like, especially as your first copy, like, if you're gonna do that, just buy Marquee. It's gonna draw basically the same, and I don't know. I don't know. Thank goodness for this Fortress, though. So far, even though I thought Will Wang was gonna dart ahead, it hasn't happened. And in fact, maybe I'm just missed a buy or a bottom deck or something, because GrassWonder has exiled more cards. GrassWonder is first player though, but GrassWonder's exiled more cards and otherwise having a bit of a better time. Why so many covens? I don't know. Everyone has two. Two doesn't seem crazy to me. I'm not mad about the covens, though I don't know if I would have timed them at the same time, but at least in the roughest deck comp considerations, I'm not mad about two. Maybe it's bad though. Now GrassWonder gets to run pretty consistently. How do you ramp up payload here? Question so many people have been asking. At 2, 6, 10 versus 9. It's pretty hard to it's a little bit hard to make. See, why CJR? You're already gonna draw next turn, so anyway. I don't think, maybe with scheme you can make it work. I don't know if like Journeyman Swashbuckler is getting you the chest very fast. I don't know if anything is really getting you the chest very fast. Is a bit of a problem. Chest is good though. Oh, I kept looking at the exile count like it was just the bad cards and not, well, I guess they're all bad cards, but like it would just remove cards and not also the number of curses you've received. Anyway, I'm a bit of a space cadet. You really can just add golds as your only thing. So it would be nice to get free ones, but it's also going to take a while to be in that spot. Unless you had a Swashbuckler in your deck, then you would probably start getting some quite soon. Like next turn, you would start getting a coffer, which would be nice. But otherwise, you gotta just buy those golds, I guess. You could go like Silver Swashbuckler, I guess, here. I wonder if anyone's thinking about Swashbuckler. I am. I am literally 95% of the time in life. Like JSH. More scheme. What you need is more scheme. Scheme's fine. Scheme's the most whatever card of all time. It did some good stuff here though. Real deck builders, don't get consistency things. They just build their decks real good. That's my take. Now these curses, see, like, what if this journeyman hypothetically is a swashbuckler? Eh? Anyone else? Anyone else feeling that angle? So the opponent went 6-4 in GrassWonder's favor on the old split there. If you're over, also I'm pretty sure Will Wang is going to overdraw here. Well, there'll be 1,000 curses in the discard, so that's not great, but 1,000 curses. Swashbuckler, swashbuckler. You could even buy 2 swashbucklers. And then you could get 2 coffers this turn, and then 2 coffers the next turn, and would give you 1 treasure chest. Okay, this is fine. I mean, I can understand, because if you had 2 swashbucklers, you're like not actually you're not guaranteed to proc both of them anyway, and you're overdrawn, and so it's not ideal. But why are these decks so bad? They're not actually. I don't know, I'm complaining. The decks aren't so bad. They're pretty good. GrassWonder looks pretty won, though. Because you don't really want to play this Imperial Envoy. So you're just getting this money here, which is not a lot. It's a pretty good amount, but it's not a huge amount. You also didn't put any curses back into exile, so you're just drawing all those. So even if you buy a swashbuckler now, you don't get anything, because the curses won't be in your discard pile because you didn't exile any of them. So that's not very good. Probably there was a different way to play this turn. I don't know if it works out in your favor, but I think probably a little better. I don't know what the last card is. This looks like a pretty easy win for GrassWonder from this point, though. At some point, you have to consider whether you should even play your Coven if it's going to activate a swashbuckler for them. Play your Coven, play your Siege Heart, or play whatever. You play a Coven. You had a shot of drawing the Coven. You could have at least done that. There was no reason not to. Are they not going to go around? You should go around. Last card Sanctuary is still worth it. And you put one in there and then you activate. It's fine. You're going to top deck things, so you're not going to you're going to scheme things anyway. So you really should put a curse back into exile so that you can get the coffer. IMO. And you're going to only you'll top deck one curse. It's not a big deal. If you had played your Covenant and then your C chart, you had a chance of not top decking any curses. That would have been really good. No one wanted to do that. Or you could have played Sanctuary earlier as well. As soon as you had the copper, you could play the Sanctuary. And then your C chart could have had a couple potential hits, and then you wouldn't have top decked any curses. I have a feeling they're just going to not even draw around, but I think that's a mistake. Even with this situation here, I think it's better to trigger the shuffle and exile a curse and get another scheme play. All of those things are nice. I also think you just kind of auto exile the copper. I don't think you actually count this. Don't like this at all. Boo. Gross. Yuck. No one likes fun stuff here. Why are you buying a gold? You didn't even draw deck. You added, no. Gross. Yuck. Boo. Yes. There's no point to adding a gold if you didn't draw deck and you have 4 more curses in your deck. You didn't exile them. You didn't exile copper and you bought a province. And you bought a gold. You're very unlikely to draw everything. So the gold is worse than draw card. I'm so mad. Why don't people, there's like, Dominion only has like 4 things you have to do, have to know to play good, and people ignore them immediately, even though these players obviously know how to build decks. These decks are here. Why aren't they using Oxen? Why is this drawing, why is you play Way of the Ox. You have as many villages as you want here. They're not the best villages. They're better than drawing actions and more draw cards dead. Why do that? Did they think they played Way of the Ox just quick? It's still just a free coffer. There was no reason not to play it the way I was describing. I understand that you may not get to the chest or whatever, but you still get money, and you weren't. It was also better or less junky deck to put a curse in exile and have it be in exile rather than have it be in deck for the next reshuffle. I can't. They already put all the pieces into the deck to like run consistently, and then they're just throwing it away via later buys. They already have all the pieces to draw and stay clean via exiling, and just choosing not to do it. I imagine the Ox thing, I whined about the Ox thing. I imagine the Ox thing was more or less just a not a misclick, but just sort of didn't notice in the moment. But it's you gotta be looking for that here. Why wouldn't you? Are you going to do the copper? You can do the copper, that's fine. But if you're not going to exile anything, there's no reason not to do it. Okay, that's fine. I can accept living in that world. I'm not sure it's right because I kind of think you want to go like province sheepdog, but maybe that's right. Maybe it's right. Now they're going back for draw. So okay, that's great. I do like that sort of. But you got to think about like your sequence of buys here. You're buying province gold into buying fortress swashbuckler. Like there's some kind of lesson in there for us all. So now they're doing the ox stuff. So I imagine it was just sort of a brain fart, misclick or something along those lines. Maybe even like a actual misclick. So that's good to see. It's just gonna still be a brutal try to come back from the deck disparity here, especially if you can't put any sort of pressure on province or some pile. Do you think people should probably be considering marquees? And no one seems to even be thinking about it, which is a bit odd. I don't understand this also, this no zero ox angle here. Why aren't we oxing one of these things? There's surely more actions in there. Like what? You can manage the marquee thing too pretty well. I mean, for one, you can just discard curses at the end of your turn. But for two, you can manage it even if it's middle turn awkward with covens and sanctuaries and ox and stuff. So I don't understand the aversion to marquee here at all. It's really good. I swear if they buy another gold when they're not drawing deck, I will lose my mind. Fine, journeyman, that's fine. Whatever. Marquee would just be much better, but it's a draw card, that's great. You do get... No, the journeyman didn't avoid anything. It probably will before the end, but... Yeah, okay. So you can get a... Get a coffer is nice. You can exile province, you can exile a curse. You're not gonna play this scheme. Unfortunately, you're not gonna scheme anything actually, but you don't really have much choice. You could exile copper instead, but you probably need a count. I don't know what the coffer use is for. I mean, if it's marquee, I'm okay with it. If it's gold, you can't draw that. You hardly can draw deck. You spend a coffer to get a gold that you may or may not draw. It doesn't make any sense. But play order stuff's been so weird for, not play order, but buy order has been so weird for this whole game almost. Anyway, everything's okay. Well, for one of the players. I mean, Will Wang is trying to have double province threat, but double province threat doesn't even help. Because GrassWonder can take single province duchy or whatever it is, and there's no risk of triple. Double is probably safe also, to be clear. Like, Will Wang isn't kind of double province duchy. But you also don't have to risk it. You can just single here. You can go like province duchy sheepdog or province duchy sea chart or something. It's completely fine. Because you can still draw the same as you did this turn next turn. And get the swashbuckler activations and have enough for double the following turn is totally fine. So there's no reason to be greedy. But double province is probably okay. There's no way Will Wang makes $21. And you're also guaranteed to draw. You're not going to whiff. So double province is pretty simple, but this is also fine. Both are totally winning and completely reasonable ways to try and get over the finish line here. Anyway, the GrassWonder is going to finish this out. So congratulations to them on advancing to the finals of the consolation bracket. Congratulations to Will Wang on a third place finish. Sorry if I was too harsh in my commentary. Both players showed had to beat a lot of strong opponents to get this far in the competition, so good work by them all around. Was this double or are we short a little bit here? This is probably enough, yeah. Okay. So they even bottom decked like a journeyman and another swashbuckler here and still were able to hit the double. So thank you for watching. Thank you to the players for playing the games and for participating in the consolation bracket. And I will catch you all later.